So, I guess we're gonna share it some places. Oh, yeah, I just wrote down technical difficulties. LOL. Oh, mute the mic. Oh, right. Mute the computer sounds. They'll have to hear me and the music.
Alright, well, if anybody knows how to fix that problem. Do you know how to edit the chat, the show?
There should be an overlay thing.
Yeah, I didn't think it would just stop showing it randomly one day, so I don't actually know how to find the overlay. I guess I should have done this before well, I wouldn't have known that this was a problem. Ah, found it.
Alright.
I think I need this control. Okay, I think I've got it sufficiently anyway.
Shall we begin?
Well, I'm not sure what the point of the waiting screen is if you don't have to hear us talk.
Yeah, we'll have to figure this out. Like, I thought I knew how it worked, but oh well.
Yeah. Oh well. Pretty sure I can't just turn it down on one thing. Oh well. That's a regular thing. I just need to get rid of VLC. Okay, so we could begin. This episode was about, or how would you describe it? So this is a bookend episode of or a bookend world from the episode The Weaker Sex. We are skipping that and doing a short one today due to the fact that I have a follow-up appointment regarding my back surgery, so I'm not going to be available for too long. And this should be rectified in like a fortnight, so
I suppose if I were to describe this world, it is a world where there seems to be a beach resort somewhere in the San Francisco Bay Area, which is probably true of our current San Francisco Bay Area. But they found it pretty easily, and they did not have well, that's not true. They had some money because Wade was working for a while, so we're assuming either it is very affordable or they accept the same U.S. currency as the weaker sex world.
We also don't know how long it took them to find it. They just show up, and they're how much longer until the next slide, and it's something like 9 days and some odd hours.
This is, I guess, a bit more about the weaker sex world, but presumably they have the same money as our world in these three worlds with, the men on it.
Could you clarify what you were meaning there?
Well, we don't know, like, if money was needed to enjoy this resort, but assuming it was, then they had money that is recognizable as American money. So we would assume that this money is the same as our money. But also for the pretzel stand in the weaker sex world, they took the sliders' money. So that would mean that they recognize money with like George Washington and Abraham Lincoln on it, despite the fact that this is a world where women came to power
Yeah.
probably soon after the rise of the United States, if not earlier.
I had not even considered that.
I don't think the writers had ever considered that either.
Yeah, probably not.
Even though money was a plot point in literally the first episode.
Yeah, the writers for this episode, I believe, are different than the writers of the pilot.
So, what I'm thinking, and this is purely just me making something up, is this is a world where San Diego, or not San Diego, it's not Los Angeles either. San Francisco is primarily a resort town. Maybe it has like more of an economy about it, but it's built around like tourism, something like how we associate Cancun. I think that there's a very real possibility that this could be a world where the Mexican American War didn't happen or it happened differently. And so this is just. I mean, San Francisco is useful militarily, so there's probably a Navy base, but if this area remained lightly settled like Alta California was before the Mexican American War, I wouldn't be surprised if they're just sort of like, hey, we have beautiful beaches, there are not a lot of people here, let's make it a tourist town.
I'm
And
reminded, I think it
that's
was like Cancun was mathematically picked as a tourist town destination. And prior to its establishment as a tourist destination, it had like a population of 3.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm thinking. It probably has a population bigger than three, or probably had a population bigger than three at the start. But I could see it as sort of like a world where, yeah, it was sparsely populated. It may have had some military value, but otherwise they wanted to develop it, and tourism developed it
Yeah.
for better and for worse. Granted, I doubt like the indigenous people would have been happy with the way it's developing. Though,
Almost
for all we
certainly.
know, this could be an indigenous-run resort. Really, we don't have a whole lot of information. So, I suppose if we're going to make some social commentary, there is the question of, I guess, Batsu games, penalty games. I don't know what you call them in English, which I'm kind of outing myself as a weeb here. But that they basically made a bet that resulted in one person being sort of a temporary slave to another. And Wade did use the word slave.
Yes.
It's played up for laughs, and this is a normal kids thing in some parts of the world. It comes off as I don't know. It's not something I do. I never am like, if I'm wrong, I'll be your slave for a week.
Because that's weird.
Yeah, yeah. Even just in general, at least in my culture, this is not a thing that it's sort of like if I lose this game or this bet, I do XYZ.
Same.
What was that?
Same.
Oh, same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember a friend of a friend who was English teacher in Japan was like watching kids, and when they were going to play a game, they all got together and established what the terms were and the punishment for losing would be. And this is just, I guess I got the impression that this is a normal part of Japanese culture. And even though it appears in American media, I can't think of it ever happening in the United States. But the stakes, they're played up for laughs. It's not seen as a big thing. I'm not sure if it is a big thing. Week-long slavery. I guess I'm wondering
Well, they didn't know how
from
long they would be there in their last one. In the last world, it was one of the longest time spans they were ever on a world. I think through almost the entire series. I think there was one other time there somewhere for 6 weeks, and that's just like an aggressively background world. But so it could have been 6 weeks, maybe longer. Is a theoretical time span that they could have been stuck for.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess I'm just wondering, is that a problem?
I would think so, given that they'd have no idea how long they were there for. Uh, yeah, because they were the nature of the bet was that he would be the slave for the whole next world, and if they were to miss the slide, he would be the slave for almost 40 years.
Yeah, I don't think
I don't think
that
it,
would have gone on if they missed the slide.
yeah, yeah, but just the nature of the bet is questionable regardless, given that.
On missing the slide, how do you feel about them staying on this world to work on a new sliding device?
Um, well, given that we know basically nothing about it, I have no idea. They don't seem to be in any peril because they're just lounging about, so it's probably not ecologically horrible or politically super egregious at present. Um, on the but so it's probably fine for them to miss the slide. Arturo would be slightly annoyed, but similar to what you were saying, should they miss the slide, it's intentionally or not, it would probably be limited to a particular set period of time that he would be the I'm gonna say servant, that he would be the servant for, and
Yeah,
not forever.
I'm also thinking.
I guess we also don't know what the technology of this world is. It could be that they literally have nothing better to do than just lounge about.
I was thinking about that. I was also thinking about like the availability of whatever materials they need. Like even if the technology level in some parts of the world are good enough that they could make the equipment, if they're in San Francisco and it's like a remote location, everything has to be flown in and more expensive, then I mean, in theory, they could just go to like move east or wherever they need to move where they have more equipment, but then there's the question of at what point does prohibitively expensive and there's also the unknown issue of what's it like in the rest of the world might stack up to say better take our chances in another world.
Yeah.
And another thing is Arturo being like staff is, like a haha thing, but those are literally the only people we see, the sliders. So, even calling it a resort might be.
Charitable.
Yeah, it is an assumption. Now, granted, they have lounging chairs, which is something that they didn't slide with. So clearly, there's at least some infrastructure for lounging on the
Yeah,
beach.
they have lounging chairs, they have drinks, Arturo has a plate, they have different outfits. So there's clearly something available to make life comfortable, definitely habitable, given that comfortable usually comes second after can survive.
Yeah. So even if I had a week to plan things, and granted, it'd be different if I was a slider and was constantly living on the go. I figured that something like I don't know if reservations would be needed. I mean, motels are never really that much of an issue in the Sliders series, and to be honest, I feel like it was less of an issue in the 90s. But this is what I'm inclined to say that, like, beachside resorts, if that's not, like, the main thing of San Francisco, then, they certainly fast forward through a lot of stuff, which I mean, that's the whole point, right? We don't need to see everything. But I don't know what to tell you about Puerto Rico.
There's no information at all.
I will say, if this is a world where the United States has been less of an expansive power, then Puerto Rico is probably still under the Spanish government. I don't see, like, Puerto Rico going independent without United States intervention. And so I suppose the main difference is that while Puerto Rico is in an ambiguous sort of territory in terms of sovereignty, I mean, it's not ambiguously American sovereignty, but it's not like an integral part of the United States. Puerto Rico was, at least on paper, an integral part of Spain. So they'd be participating in Spanish elections. I'm not saying this would necessarily be a better life because the Spanish Puerto Rico as part of Spain had plenty of problems, but at the very least, in terms of political determination, it would be better than what they have regarding the U.S. now.
Mm,
Though it's also possible that Puerto Rico and Cuba become independent together, regardless. Cuba did have an independence movement. Honestly, I think that without U.S. intervention, they might have negotiated something like more autonomy for Cuba within the Spanish Empire. But, I could see some kind of Antillean federation with Puerto Rico, Cuba, and maybe if they could get the Dominican Republic on board, they'd get the Dominican Republic on board.
mm-hmm. You're heavily carrying the episode, given that there's not really any politics stuff to talk about. Uh,
Batsu games are politics.
we'll Yes, but this would require me to have known about them first to be able to look into them at all.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Well, I suppose there isn't that much more to say, though.
No, this was a very short one. Um, so
We'll be back on the weaker sex, which may or may not be a multi-parter, maybe next week.
possibly, it's either next week or a fortnight from now. It depends on uh, how alone I am capable of being, because partner works in the same room that I stream in, and I shouldn't be loud while they're actively working or distracting while they're working. So they'll be probably gone at that other point. But yeah, the weaker sex might be a couple parts. It could just be one. Depends on how fast we want to go, what we want to skip, etc. Because that one's an aggressively heavy political episode due to the fact that it's about Arturo being a politician as well as the nature of feminism. Um,
You
so,
know, thinking about this episode, I guess cinemagraphically, this is portrayed as Arturo's comeuppance, right? That
well, if this was
he was
about.
out of line and he deserves to this humiliation.
Hmm.
I don't
I
know. Would you say this is a fair characterization?
I don't think so. If so, this is a combination between this and the last and the weaker sex episode proper. Um, so you might have to watch that for that episode for full context. But if it was intended as a comeuppance and he deserves it, I feel like he would not have won the election to be the first male mayor of San Francisco.
Granted, this goes a lot into the politics of the episode. I feel like it can be both. That you know he should have won, but also he was being horribly misogynist and let it go to his head.
Yeah, and then I guess that could be like he had the beyond what is within his control, but still had his victory taken away from him. Um, but we might have to get into that more in the episode proper.
In that case, I'm gonna wish everyone a good time, good day.
Uh, have fun, and we'll see you maybe for a smidgen next week.